Welcome back to Writing Done Right. And today, GIMP 3 has officially been released. Well, not today, it wasn't released. That was a couple days ago. But today I'm going to bring you a video on GIMP 3. I'm not going to go through all of the individual changes. We talked a little bit about those on our last GIMP channel here, and over on my other channel, and I'll leave a link for that, I walk through all of the changelog and show you all the fine details. But as I was looking through my channel, I realized I did not have anything to kind of get you a basic primer to set up GIMP for your image editing needs. And so I kind of want to spend today, we're not going to do any real work with it. We're just going to set up your workspaces and show you where you can find things. As I said in one of my previous videos, GIMP is a complicated piece of software. This isn't something you throw on your system and you poke around until you figure out what you're doing. This is an advanced image editor. Now, if you're used to Photoshop or you've ever had Photoshop training, GIMP is every bit as complicated, which means once you have some training, it's very easy to use. But if you're jumping into this without any training at all, it is a horrible, confusing experience. Now, speaking about Photoshop versus GIMP, I'm trained in both of them. And when I was trained in Photoshop for 10 years, doing that with all my work, and I switched to GIMP full-time because I was making a switch to Linux full-time, it was a little bit harder to figure out how to get things to work. But ultimately, after enough training and experience, I actually think it's just as easy to do anything in GIMP as it is to do in Photoshop. It's just sometimes a little bit of a different process. So do you want to pay the monthly subscription fees for Photoshop and not be able to use it if you're not on the internet? Or would you like to use a piece of open source software that you can use without a big subscription fee, and you can use it anytime that you want on any of your devices? That's actually why I like GIMP. So we're going to start in here, and as I said, we're just going to introduce you to the workspace, show you where things are, configure your setup, which is good because I just got GIMP 3 installed on this system, and I have not completely configured it for how I like to use my GIMP application yet. So we're going to spend our time doing that today. When you first log in and first run it, you're going to see this welcome screen. It's only going to show up that very first time. If you want to see it again, it's under the help menu and under the welcome dialog. So that is this button here. And they give us a nice personalized tool right here. All of these settings are inside of edit and preferences as well, but these are just kind of some quick settings. Do you like dark themes? Do you like middle gray? Or do you like light colors? So I like the dark on this particular one. And then icon themes, these are the newer icons. There is the old legacy icons. I actually generally prefer the legacy ones, although I'm trying to get used to the default one. So I am going to keep it on default. Now you'll notice that there's tool groups here. Click on this, hold the mouse down, and you'll see there's a number of different options inside of these. And so I don't like the groups for that reason. There's plenty of space over here, lots of white space. I come down here at the bottom and I turn this off. This will show all of the tools. That's my personal preference. You decide what you want to do. You can override the icon sets by using the theme if you want to. That's going to override a variety of icons, fonts, and things like that. And then you can set your font sizes here as well. I thought I could. I got to turn that off there and then override the theme. So this is the default. So this is running GIMP under a different theming system than I like, but the default uses and respects your system theme because it assumes that if you set your system theme up, you probably like it. And this tries to be unified with how your system is. And then here's some font scaling as well. So if you want to make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, you can go ahead and make those adjustments as you like. Whoa, let's see if I can get that back to 100. Okay, that's complicated to change. If you do need a system language change, you can do that. And also merge menu and title bar. I think that's up here. I think those will require a restart. Those are just kind of your basic system preferences. But there are a lot more system preferences. If you go on down to your preferences here, And there's some things I might change in here. I'm going to highlight. This is system resources, how much memory, how many systems. So this computer, I think, is a 16-thread computer, so it's only can use half of it. That's good. These are kind of basic things, just how well is it working, how well is it not. That's okay. Debugging, I'm not worried about that. And color management is something that they worked hard on in this version. Now, if you're just a basic user, generally you don't need to work with that. Color management's going to come in if you're like full-fledged professional high-end imagery, then you will be excited about the color management profile. Import and export settings. These are what the images will be when you import them, when you export them. So export policies, do you want the image's color profile, images comments? I generally don't care about comments. I don't need the thumbnails by default. I don't need the metadata. These are just kind of things that I generally I don't need an image, particularly since I usually do things for web-based applications, and all of this stuff adds extra size to the image that is kind of annoying. This is your default extension export when you hit export as. PNG is the default. I generally prefer a JPEG. You will want to choose whatever works best. So do you do mostly PDF type stuff? Pick a PDF. TIFF would be for printing images. WebP images is a new option. I'm going to stick with my JPEG there, and that will give me the ability to export easily. Here's the various tool options. So save tool options on exit. This will, if you make any adjustments to any of our tool tabs, we'll talk about that in a moment, that will save everything. If you want to reset everything, maybe you goof something up, you're like, I have no idea what I did, I got to get it back. Come on in here, hit this button. It resets it back to the standard default. And then this is the options shared between tools. There's just a few different options between tools. And then move tool, do you want to set layer or path as active? So those are all you can pick right here. So there is that. Here's your default image. This one's going to be important. This one might be something you set based on what type of images you're doing. So I usually would do thumbnails, and I do my thumbnails at 1600 by 900. And since I'm doing them for thumbnails for web, I want 72 DPI. So if I do this and set that, now it's going to give me a background. Now, what do I want is my color space. You can do grayscale or color. You can do your precision. Ooh, let's do 32 just because, right? There's that. And I want to see if we also have, there you go. Do you want your background color? I like transparency to start. And then comment, created with GIMP. Awesome. There you go. Get some GIMP love in there. All right, so there is our default images. Here's your basic grids. So these are experiments. So this is like how big is the grid on a transparent image, and what are the colors of the grid. Now, as far as the interface is concerned, these are, again, your system languages. And you can see configure your keyboard shortcuts. We're going to get there in a second. There's actually a separate section for that. I'm going to configure those next, so we'll skip that one for now. You can save the keyboard shortcuts. You can reset them all, or you can remove all keyboard shortcuts if you happen to be a sadomasochist. And over here under your themes, just once again, these are the same theme types that we saw in the on that preferences tab. These are over here. This is if you want to reset groups. You can, if you like groups, but you want to group things differently, you can reset your groups and do that. So let's see if there's anything else here. Here's the help system. Here's the display, window management. Okay, that's all standard. And then let's see. I think these are all more just advanced settings down here. So we're not going to mess with any of those. I'm going to hit OK. That's going to save my default settings. And then the next thing we want to do is keyboard shortcuts. Now, this is where if you look at certain menu items, there's one thing I use a lot, so if there's a layer, let's see, so scale layer option. You'll see that the shortcuts over here, there's no shortcut for scale layer. I scale layer a lot, and so I'm going to go ahead and just do a search for scale layer. Here's your scale layer. And on all my systems, I do a Shift Control Alt L. So that's what I do. So you want to click on this, hit the button, and now that's going to set your scale layer. The next thing I tend to like doing is under our layer size. So let's see, under our image size. So scale image doesn't have one. So scale image. And I kind of like the ones that Photoshop has set. So I just kind of set some of these. And there's also another one for canvas as well. So it's under canvas size. So there's canvas size. So find your canvas size, and I do Alt-Control-C for that. Now, there was one that I liked, and that was pasting as a new layer, because the old version of GIMP always pasted things as a floating selection. That has been changed. If you paste something into GIMP, just a regular paste, it automatically goes into a new layer now, not a floating selection. So major improvement. We don't need to adjust a keyboard setting for that. If there's other keyboard shortcuts, I'll come in here and fix them later, but that gives you the gist about what you're doing. So any of those shortcut items that you want inside of your menu, if they're not set, then you might want to go ahead and set them. So you'll see now that scale layer has the shortcut set, and under our canvas size and scale image, those have ours set as well. And also we set that's actually one I didn't do. Let me do keyboard shortcuts again. Export image. So they use a Shift Control E for export image. I'm still used to the Alt Shift Control Save. That's what I like doing for that. So I set that one as well. So there is your keyboard shortcuts. The next space we want to talk about is your tools. So up here we have a panel of tools here. And then inside of these are, we have our paint brushes. These are our patterns. These are fonts, and what are these? Oh, this is my history, like my document history. We have another panel down here. This is our layers. These are the channels. These are the paths. And then over here, we have some various tools, tool options, device status, undo history, and what is this one? Images. Okay. So what you can do is you might accidentally grab something if you're in a hurry and whoops, and you move it. Oh no, it's floating. And then this is super annoying. Simply grab the icon here, drag the icon, and drop it back on. And that's how you move it around. Now, if you want to, if that annoys you and you find yourself doing that a lot, you can right click the options here and lock them. Let me do that real quick. I thought you could. I just saw it earlier. I think I saw it over here, or maybe was it over here? There you go. Lock tab to dock. There you go. It's under this caret over here. Lock tab to dock. So this one's locked. I can't accidentally take this one off, but I can accidentally take this one off. So let's go ahead and put this guy back on, hit my lock tab to dock. And so now I can't move it. So what I like to do is I like coming over here, and once I get everything set up just right, is I like going in and locking all of my tabs to my dock. That way I don't accidentally do something in the middle of an image and, you know, I'm running around in a fury. This one here, also you can adjust these. Like this one here, I don't need to go back and see what my previous images are. That's not something I typically do. So what I might do is close that tab. But you might find that I want something else. Like maybe here's my paint brushes, and I want maybe my gradients somewhere. So let's add gradients. So over here under Add tab, find the tab you want to add. And here's my gradients. So there's my gradient tab. Now I can move it where I want and lock that into place. So here's my patterns. Here's my fonts. Okay, those are all nice options. So if you want to add anything else anywhere, you can grab them and add the tab from over here. And I think you can have the same tab added in multiple different players. I've never actually tested that. Let me go ahead and try that out real quick. There's gradients there. I was looking to see, yeah. So if I do layers, so you see I have a layers tab here and a layers tab here now. I have no idea if that would actually cause any weird issues. Let's go ahead and give a quick try to that. I think we need to create a new document, and let's create a new layer. And So over here, anything I do to one layer, you'll see it does to both. So it's not really a huge need to do that. There could be a reason, but you know, ultimately you can have multiple different things on multiple different tabs. Now, if you want to do something like, I like generally having my paths up here, you might just grab this and just move it up as well. So you can go ahead and move your whole space around any way that you like. That will give you the ability to get your workspace set up right. You can also make these larger or smaller if you want. Particularly this one over here, I do like making this one a little bit smaller. Spreads the tools out more, and there's not usually enough stuff going on under your tool options. And I don't typically use the items over here much anyway. So like, what is this one? This is images. I never use that tab anyway, so we'll close that one. Undo history, I will use that every now and again, but it's not common. And then what is this one? Device status. What is that? Oh, I guess that just identifies what the current cursor is. Okay, that's fairly useless to me. But I can see over here, the tools are what's most important. Now, I might go a little bigger. There you go. Just want to make sure I'm not bleeding things over, making things so small that we can't see anything. So I might find the biggest tool and make it the smallest I can. So this one might be the biggest tool. So that's a good setup there. Then I can make that guy there a little small. So now if we close the application and start it back up, it'll start back up exactly like this, because remember we had that one setting that remembers how the tool panel is set up. But again, if it's crazy to you, you can always come back in over here, hit your preferences, go down to your toolbox. Was it your toolbox? No, it wasn't your toolbox. It was somewhere in here. Somewhere in here, if you'll remember, there was the one spot where we could just go ahead and reset. There it is. Configure, reset keyboard and shortcuts. There should be one of those for tools as well. We saw it. I know we saw it. Tool options. Yeah, there it is. Save all the tool options back to default. So there it is under your tool options. With all of those ready to go, now all there is to do is just start creating something with GIMP. So I'll go ahead and hit my new image. I'm not sure why it's my new image there started out like that. That should have been set to 900, right, as our default, since I set my defaults. So there we have it. We have our new images. Of course, you can always hit your / button. That's the under the question mark on your keyboard, and then you can search for things inside of here if you're looking for some form of effect. So if you are looking to do something like, oh, how do I bevel something? You could go ahead and hit this button over here. Here's a bevel style here. And one of the things that they added in this recent version is it tells you where it's at now. So bevel options are under menu, filters, light, and shadow. So if I go under filters, light, and shadow, we should find, oh, there it is. There's bevel, right? So you can use that search function to see where things are at if you use them on a regular basis. So now we have our workspace for GIMP configured. We are ready to start working on images. As I said, we're not going to show you how to use GIMP here. I have a number of tutorials on my other channel and on this channel about doing that, particularly as it relates to book covers or maybe blog post images, things like that. But now that you have your workspace set up, hopefully that gives you a little bit of comfort that you can start looking through the various menus, seeing what other options are, and then understanding what the different toolbars and the different windows do. So there is our quick video. Thank you for watching, everybody. And with that, I hope that we have helped you to get your writing